Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the properties of complementary angles, supplementary angles, vertical angles, and how adjacent angles relate. Adjacent are a little different because adjacent, it depends on what the sum of the two is. But complementary, which is the first one we're dealing with, complementary is always refers to two angles who their measures add up to 90 degrees. So it gives us one angle measure of 67. We need to find another angle measure that when I add it to 67 will sum to 90. Well, that's going to be 23. Or in other words, what's 90 minus 67? 23. So the angle measure is 23. That's complementary to 67. Now we're talking supplementary. Supplementary angles is two angles that add up to 180 degrees. It's always two angles. So again, I need to add something to this angle measure of 12 to get it to be all the way up to 180. Well, that would have to be 168. 168 plus 12 is 180. Or in other words, what's 180 minus 12? 168 would be the supplement to an angle of 12 degrees. 168 is supplemental to 12 degrees. Okay, I'm going to just go quickly on this one. Since it's supplementary, I'm going to do 180 minus 158, and that's going to be 22. Complementary, the two must add up to 90, so 90 minus 15 is going to be 75. Supplementary is 180, so 180 minus 60 is 120. Complementary adds up to 90, so 90 minus 54 would be 36. Supplementary adds up to 180, so 180 minus 36 is going to be 144. Supplementary add up to 180. So now they're using a decimal. So if you need to use a calculator, by all means, use a calculator. But I need a minus 43.5 from 180. And that's going to be, well, I know it's going to end in a 0.5. And then I have to borrow, that's going to be 9 minus 3 is 6. And then I had to borrow from the 8, 7 minus 4 is 3. So it'd be 36.5. Nope. It would be 136.5. I forgot the 100. I got it. Yeah, be careful. Actually use a calculator. Right? I try to do too much in my head. And see what happens when you try to do it in your head? You mess up. I forgot the 1. Because I had to subtract 43.5 from 180. So I had 36.5. I just forgot that there was still 100 there. I'm going to jump ahead because I know we're going to come into some that are a little different than this. The measure of an angle is 5 times the measure of its complementary angle. What is the measure of each angle? So now this one you're going to have to set up as an equation. We have some angle measure A. Let's just use A to represent an angle measure A. We know that the measure of the other angle is 5 times the measure of its complement. So in other words, I need to take 5, I need to multiply it by 90 minus A. 90 minus A is the complement of angle A because it's the other part, right? If I knew what A was, I'd minus it from 90 and that gives me its complement. And I know that the measure of an angle is 5 times the measure of its complement. So that means those two are equal. An angle, so you got to read it carefully, an angle, that's A, that's equals 5 times, that's 5 times what? Its complement. Complement is the remainder of the 90 when I take away the angle measure. Now I just solved for that. A equals 5 times 90 would be what? 540. Nope, 450. I can do my multiplication. 450. Nothing wrong with using a calculator. 450 minus 5a. Add the 5a to the right side, we get 6a equals 450 divide by 6 and we have A being a value of 75. So my one angle measure is 75, and then the other one would be 90 minus 75, which would be 15. Those two add up to 90, and 75 is 5 times 15. So make sure you just read carefully. Now we're on to multiple intersections. What is the value of V? Now, these are dealing with vertical angles. Vertical angles mean this angle here is congruent to this angle here. Because what I'm going to do is realize that these two angles are what's called adjacent angles, and they form a right angle. So if this one's 61, this one's got to be the remainder of 61, or the other portion of, sorry, not the remainder of 61, the remainder of 90, the other portion of 90. So what's 90 minus 61? Well, it's 29. And if this one's 29 and this angle over here is vertical to it, so these two lines intersect and they're opposite, this one's also 29. So I have an angle or a degree measure of 29 degrees. Again, very similar here. We have this 77-degree angle that is vertical to this complete two angles that are put together. And these two angles are adjacent angles. So C has to be the other portion of 77. So what's 77 minus 46? 77 minus 46 would be 24. No, would not be 24. I can minus 46 from 77. It's going to be 31. 77 minus 46 is 31, or 31 plus 46 is 77. Okay, the measure of an angle is phi is 59 times the measure of its supplementary angle. So again, this is like the one I did before. I'm going to have some angle measure A, and then its supplement is going to be 180 minus that angle measure, whatever A is. So I'm using A to represent some unknown angle. 180 minus A is its supplement, and I know that the angle itself is 59 times this measure. Wow, that's a lot. 59 times the 180 minus A. So I'm definitely going to use a calculator on this one to distribute, because A is going to equal whatever 59 times 180 is. 59 times 180 is 10,620. 10,620 minus 59A. So now when I bring the A to the left side, I'm going to have 60A, because I'm adding 59 to the 1A, equals 10,620. And I'll bet you anything that divides evenly. Even if it doesn't, it's possible to have a decimal answer. And so I'm going to take that 10,620, divide by 60, and I'm going to get 177. So the one angle measure is 177, and since they're supplementary, the other angle, that's not 77, 77, the other angle measure, if it adds up to 180, must be 3. And anyway, 3 times 59 is 177, so it works. Hopefully you've watched this long and you're kind of getting an idea for how to do this. If you have any questions on how to do these, please bring them to class.